to make you realize. So open your eyes.
Welcome all of my tacticians to a tactical, I won't say this is a tactical debate per se, but it is going to be going into the details and trying to discover if the big PokeTubers, Verlisify, Duncan Kneecap, I believe that's how it's pronounced, or no, Duncan Knee Deep, I believe that, yeah, Duncan Knee Deep, if these constant pokings and jabbing at each other and arguing and fighting amongst themselves, do these two have, and in fact do all of these giant PokeTubers, when it comes to topics of hacking Pokemon, legitimacy, etc., etc., and other various topics, do they have truths to them? And that is going to be what I'm asking for. I'm not going to take either side. I'm just going to point that out right now. I am not going to be standing on Verlisify's side defending what he's saying, but at the same time, I'm not going to be defending what Duncan Kneedeep says and what he claims, etc., etc. No. What I am here for is to look at the facts, look at what each one says, and just basically cover this drama going on and the constant splitting and arguing of the Pokemon community when it comes to these two PokeTubers in particular, because these two have some of the biggest following of Pokemon fans across YouTube. And I just want to know, do these two have truths to what they're saying? So we're going to start off with just Verlisify's tweet here. So one of Verlisify's tweets talking about Duncan, you know, he says he's the most delusional kid in the Pokemon community. He talks about, you know, he posts an image that was posted or sent to him by Final Rush. I believe I have it somewhere here, but in any case, we're going to look at it. So in which he talks about how it's hilarious, etc., that they're talking about something in the VGC community, in which they say, or perhaps Verlisify says, that he's calling out a junior trainer in the Pokemon qualifications, or who won Worlds, etc. However, he got most of his Pokemon, if not all of his Pokemon, from his brother, who uses PKX. So, already we're talking circumstantial evidence. There's no way we can confirm or deny that, so we're not going to brush that topic. That's not what we're here. But he's making comparisons about Verlisify. I believe Verlisify made some tweets in the past talking or comparing Nazis to Muslims and being racist, etc. There's a big videos, etc., about that on Duncan Kneedeep's on his channel, where you can click it right there. You can pretty much look it up right there. You can watch it and you can make your judgments, however. But that's where the situation goes on. So, reading on, he talks about how players should not bring hacked mons to VGC. He disagrees with the argument that it gives players significantly more time to practice with their team. However, Duncan does say to Verlisify that he himself uses Showdown, a program which online you can use to practice your Pokemon. You know, set them up however you wish and battle however you want, without having to go online Pokemon game and actually breed them, etc. It's a program which illegally recreates Pokemon online to practice. Most people practice on Showdown. And he says, by his logic, practicing on Showdown is the same level on unfair advantage in the competitive game as hacking. He also goes on to state that he doesn't believe players should gen for VGC because it is against the rules, and players should follow the rules. The unfair advantage argument, however, he says, is laughable because you never have any... I'm not going to go into that phrase. You can read that all on yourself. But in any case, we're going to be moving on to now Duncan's Twitter, where he says he's basically calling out Verlisify again about fake DMs, harassment, and so on. Especially this tweet from Verlisify calling Duncan mentally ill, etc. Says he stalks replies just to harass anyone that agrees with him, etc. And that he can't defend a thing he says. This is all very confusing, especially to those who aren't following him, aren't following them. I myself have not really followed them. More along the lines, I'm just basically trying to get my feet wet and trying to understand, trying to grasp what are these truths that these two are saying. So we're going to be looking at another tweet, between Verlisify and Lonely Goomba, which they're talking about racism, African Americans, racism, growing up in ghetto areas, and how they're committing crimes higher than whites in the same neighborhood. That all can be broken down again to racial diversity and racial problems. But at the same time, Duncan is raising a fair point when Verlisify talks like this. He is taking a topic that he really shouldn't be discussing, because no matter what, if you don't agree, like if you make a statement where he said, let's see if I can find it right here. At one point he says he was talking about specific situations where it's a problem. Skin color plays a big part since they behave this way because of how they feel about being black. And this is heavy racism talk right now. Whether you intend it or not, this is heavy racism talk being said by Verlisify. So, on the one hand, perhaps he is being racist, and in fact, we can, there is truth to what Duncan is pointing out when he shows these pictures. Verlisify is definitely being racist, so there is definite truth there. So, does that classify Verlisify as a quote-unquote racist person? Maybe, maybe not. We all have our opinions. We all have our ideas on certain topics such as racism. We all have them. I'm not going to state mine because those are private matters, and I don't want to get into any topics or debates with that, because that's not what this topic is about, or not what this video is about. This video is about trying to determine if these two have truths to what they are saying about each other. So we're going to move on into one of the bigger Verlisify tweets, in which Duncan makes 4 points about about a video that was printed by Per Mario. Basically it was a comment section or something. So he says, neither Caleb nor I support hacking in official VGC tournaments. Okay, that's point 1. He says you cannot use overpowered super hack Pokemon online, because unless that Pokemon is possible to get legitimately, you can't take it online. So obviously you can't have Darkrai with Wonder Guard and I don't know, Judgment, for example. You can't have that. The issue with Verlisify, he says, has nothing to do with his view on hackers. It's to do with his racism, sexism, and outright attacks on people that disagree with him, and so on. So or he believes have hacked based on circumstantial evidence. So again, we're going into that territory. Again, talking about the 12-year-old kids with no proof. So again, there is some truth there, but we can infer perhaps it is true, but at the same time, there's no proof. We can't, not without going in and asking and checking for ourselves and double checking. But that again, we'll move on before we actually continue with that. And he says hacking legit mons is not comparable to aimbots at all. Winning with a game with a hack but perfectly possible mon is identical to winning with legitimate bred mons when it comes to actual skill at the competitive game. Verlisify responds with points 3 and 4 are completely wrong. He says he never displayed signs of racism or sexism. Well, we've already shown that he does display that, but moving on, he says these are hard accusations that are continuously displayed through someone's regular conventions. or conversation, and not a few off comments you personally don't like. I also don't like circumstantial evidence when calling hacked Pokemon for the top VGC players. I have used proof time and time again. So, good job on another baseless claim, he states. So, he also says, you're wrong saying it's identical to winning when it comes to actual skill. The rules make it clear, and etc., etc., etc. It's against the rules. You should not... You can't say it only happens, it's about the battle, etc. So, again, Verlisify does make some fair points. He does have some truth into this. Except maybe for one of the points, but he does make a truthful point when it comes to hacking in the game and at the higher levels. You should not bring in hacked Pokemon. You should breed all your Pokemon legitimately, authentically, etc., etc. They should be caught in game, or at least traded authentically with people who caught them or bred them in game naturally. But at the same time, there is no difference when it comes to the skill level of the trainers who use a Hackmon over an authentically bred Pokemon. I myself use bred Pokemon. I use caught Pokemon. I don't use hacked Pokemon. And I've demonstrated my skills with them all the times. I demonstrate with them all the times. If I can defeat a team of Ubers with a bunch of Furfros, that just shows I'm skilled. Even if I don't win all the time, I do show that I am skilled. If I chose one day to hack a team for whatever reason, let's just say hypothetically speaking, if I chose to hack in a team of Pokemon, whatever, blah blah blah, it does not show my skill if I choose to train with that team. Why? Because I've already bred the Pokemon and I've already, trained with them. I pretty much know my teams inside and out. The only difference is I haven't practiced with the team as much. And if I wanted to practice with the team, it wouldn't take me very long to breed authentic Pokemon on my own. In fact, it would probably take me longer to hack Pokemon, actually, because I've never done it before. Whereas, if I bred the Pokemon legitimately, I could have them done in as little as 3 days if I put my mind to it and put my time into it. I could have an entire team of 6 Pokemon completely bred, battle trained, etc., etc., with the IVs where I need them to be, EVs all set up and ready to go. It wouldn't take me very long if I wanted to breed in a team myself. It would actually probably take me longer to hack a team of Pokemon because I've never done it before. Likewise, if I were a constant hacker wanting to, breed a team of Pokemon, it would take me a lot longer to breed because I've never done it before. Whereas if I were to hack it, I don't know how it's done. I don't know how it's done. I can only guess. Maybe it's a click of a few buttons and bam, you've got your battle-ready shiny 6IV Shuckle with Contrary and all the perfect egg moves, as well as IVs and EVs in correct positions as much as you want, as long as the mon is legitimate in terms of stats, abilities, and moves, and even shiny color, then it's really no different from a normally bred Pokemon. It's only the time you would put in and the effort you would put in. But we're gonna move on to our next picture, which is obviously the reply, a closer up view of one of the first images we saw from Duncan Knee Deep. And he's talking about how he shoots down Verlisify, saying how these Pokemon are highly unlikely, or how they would have taken hundreds of hours is not hard evidence. And he says how a 12-year-old junior's brother has PKX and he got his mon from his brother. Again, he says it's circumstantial evidence. It's not hard proof, etc., etc. It's up to the judges and officials to determine if the mons are legitimate. And they have specific instructions, and he believes comparing Nazis, etc. We already talked about that. But you can see now that there is a little bit of truth to both sides. I mean, true, we don't know if the junior's 12-year-old person, the kid, really got his Pokemon from a hacked game, or etc., if they were hacked in and then traded to him. We don't know exactly. We'd have to go in and check. but at the same time, that would really crush a kid. I mean, you win worlds, for example. Let's say you're the 12-year-old. You win worlds, and suddenly that's taken away from you because the Pokemon you had were illegal. And so because of that, who do you blame? You would blame your brother for that. So it would really hurt. It really hurts if you do that. All right, so we're gonna move on once again. We're gonna finish this video off. We're gonna be discussing, or we're gonna be looking out at Verlisify, what Verlisify says. So he calls out a lot of people as hackers, especially when he points them out in videos such as his Physical Dragalge Rex hacker video. When he calls them out as hackers, it's mostly because of, obviously, as Duncan Kneedeep says, circumstantial evidence. However, when he does call them out, it is because of a very interesting trait that nearly all hacked Pokemon share. Unless they are hacked specifically to not be it, most hacked Pokemon, especially from those received through GTS giveaway streams, such as those reverse GTS giveaway streams that are running 24/7 and are being run by bots, etc., and just constantly churning out legendary shiny Pokemon with 6 IVs, correct nature, perfect EV spread with great moves and egg moves and natures, even especially shiny. That is the thing that really ties them all together. 9.5 out of 10 times they are shiny. I have seen so many shiny Pokemon that it is hard to tell what is authentic and what is legitimate or what is hacked. And that is probably why he calls them out as hacked. But at the same time, Duncan Kneedeep is also right. You can't call someone out as a hacker based solely on circumstantial evidence. You need a little bit more facts before you can call them out. However, once again, at the same time, the trend is so common, the trend is so real, and it is so obvious that most Pokemon that are hacked are also shiny. That is probably why he can call them out like that and be right sometimes. I mean, I'm sure he might be wrong a few times, but for the most part, he can be right, because most shiny Pokemon, especially those given away on the GTS streams, those are hacked. It's obvious they are hacked. And it's those people who bring those full shiny teams that make you raise an eyebrow and ask yourself a few questions before you actually, point them out or something. But in any case, we've probably discussed this topic enough. We all know that Duncan Kneedeep, he has some things that are correct. He states some things that are correct, especially concerning Verlisify. At the same time, when Verlisify says something, while it may not be the most kindest of things, or it might not be the right thing to say, he is making a fair point, and he is speaking some truth. Both of these large PokeTubers, they are stating some truths. They may not agree on many things, but they are stating some truths that, regardless of the context, is true to an extent. But in any case, that is it for me. I'm not going to try and touch this topic ever again. This video will probably get me some hate from both sides, because I am defending and supporting both sides, and at the same time I am not supporting either side. But in any case, I'm just trying to see if both sides are speaking some manner of truth. That is what I'm all about. And I have just demonstrated, and I have hopefully shed some light into what these two giant PokeTubers have said to one another, about one another. But in any case, I am Imperator Davis, your Fedora Reshiram. I will see you all next time. Bye-bye.